Planning a trip on the Appalachian Trail, from Georgia to Maine. Part 1. Where to sleep.
When it comes to planning your Appalachian Trail trip, it's important that you find shelters all along the trail. You should have a shelter to stay in every single night, and the shelters are typically 10 to 15 miles apart. But the trails hold 6 to 12 people on average, so you have to keep in mind that you might be staying with other people in the shelter. If you get to a shelter and it's full, then you're gonna have to have a tent, because you might have to stay in the tent that night. And if you don't reach your shelter by nightfall, then you also might have to stay in the tent. These shelters are 3-sided, and some have bunk beds, but most don't. As you can see, they just have a wooden floor, so you're going to be sleeping on the ground. It's important that you also have a sleeping bag, because you're going to be sleeping on a hard wooden floor, or you may be sleeping in your tent. It's also important that your sleeping bag is really heavy duty, because if you're going to be sleeping in the winter, you're going to be very cold. A lot of these shelters also have bear boxes. Bear boxes are places to keep your food and keep them away from bears or other animals. Not all shelters have bear boxes. Some have mouse-proof food hangs. They're places that you can hang your food from so the mice in the shelter can't get to it. Not all shelters have mouse-proof food hangs or bear boxes. Some don't have anything. So you're going to have to hang your food on a tree or something like that.
Part 2. Where to get supplies.
There are a few things you need to know before going out on the trails, such as where to find supplies when you're on the trail. Some places you can find supplies are High Country Outfitters in Georgia. Here's a map of the Appalachian Trail. Georgia. Mahoney's in Tennessee. Camp Horror in New Jersey. And Tuckerman's Outfitters in New Hampshire.
Some other places are Outdoor Trails in Virginia. In West Virginia there is Cabela's, and in Maryland there is LLB.
Part 3. Where to stock up on food and water.
Freeze-dried food can be found at most local grocery stores and even some remote country stores along the Appalachian Trail. Freeze-dried food is quick and easy to cook and resistant to spoiling. Resupplying for the Appalachian Trail can be done in 2 ways. First way, you can purchase food at convenience stores and local food stores along the way, or you can pick up care packages sent home via mail drops. Mail drops can be sent to local businesses or post offices. Post offices are required to hold the mail drops for Appalachian Trail hikers for 30 days. However, local businesses are open 7 days a week, and it would be a lot easier for hikers to obtain their packages through local businesses. Here are a few places you can purchase food along the Appalachian Trail in New Jersey. Come on, I'll show you. Here's Heaven Hill Farm in Vernon, New Jersey. Here we have A&P in Greenwood, New Jersey. Here's Dale's Market in Greenwood, New Jersey. Here we have Potchick Valley Farm in Branchville, New Jersey. And lastly, we have the Yellow Cottage Deli and Bakery in Branchville, New Jersey. To conclude, it is important to remember to pack lightly but foods that are high in calories and fast and easy to cook, such as home-dried and freeze-dried foods. It is also important to remember the landmarks such as mail drops and grocery stores such as the ones I just showed you along the way.
Part 4. What types of food to pack.
When hiking the Appalachian Trail, it's very important to pack foods that have amino acids, proteins, calcium, and the vitamins that your body needs. It's also important to keep in mind the weight of the foods that you're packing. Water and foods can get really heavy, and therefore, that's why I have a dehydrator in my backpack, which looks something like this. It's the basic dehydrator. What dehydrators do is they eliminate the water in foods, such as fruit, so then you have dried fruit for yourselves, such as this. Eliminating the water essentially makes your backpack a lot lighter and easier to travel. Before talking about foods that are required, a tip is to avoid processed foods such as ramen noodles or other instant foods like instant potatoes or instant rices, because these foods don't contain the correct vitamins and nutrients that your body's going to need when you're hiking. In order to obtain vitamin C into your diet, dried fruits, like I said before, have a lot of vitamin C, and also vegetables. This is a picture of kale, or any other green vegetables from the cabbage family are also helpful. And in order to incorporate calcium into your diet, you can eat foods such as, or drink, dried milk, which is very important. You can also eat foods such as dried yogurt, and this yogurt is dried from the dehydrator. You can also eat canned fish, such as sardines or anchovies, or the tips of chicken. You can also pack, this is like a snack, this is corn processed tortillas, and the lime corn process is an important aspect because it helps preserve the tortillas. Another common snack in trail mix and stuff is nuts. So you have walnuts, peanuts, cashews, almonds, pistachios, all that good stuff for proteins and amino acids.
While there are no permits needed to actually walk on the Appalachian Trail, there are some permits and fees and some registrations required to enter parks along the Appalachian Trail and use some of the campsites. For example, in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee and North Carolina, a permit is needed to enter, and if you are going to stay in a shelter, backpackers must make reservations. Also, in Baxter State Park in Maine, you have to register to enter. In Shenandoah National Park in Virginia, hikers and overnight backpackers must have a permit, and you can receive a fine if you don't have your permit with you. In Green Mountain National Forest in Vermont, there are no permits required, however there are some fees that you must pay at the high-use campsites. And lastly, at White Mountain National Forest in New Hampshire, reservations are required if you are staying overnight, and often there are fees charged.